As you exhale, letting your eyes close into that state of listening. The one that created all, created me. The one that created all lives within me in a deep, intimate way. The one that created all expresses itself in sacred, holy ways through all aspects of my being. In this truth, I rest. As I rest, I surrender. I surrender all that I am, all that I think. I surrender all attachments as best as I can. Attachments to outcome. I let it all rest. This practice creates the space for me to listen to the one that created all within me. As I deepen my listening, I notice the practice of allowing. For this moment, I cease trying. Instead, I let myself be simply and sweetly held by the one that created all within. I become aware that through this one within I am connected to all that is. And in this moment I become aware, I wake up to the realization that my life is holy. All life is holy. I relish this awareness. I enjoy the remembered simplicity of resting, listening, and noticing the natural beauty of this life as it reveals itself everywhere. It calls forth from me a celebration of everything. Right now, I am basking in the beauty of the sacred. All life is holy. All life is one. Letting the next breath you take be deeper than the one before. As you exhale, we bring this moment of practice to a close by saying together, and so it is. Good morning, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, where we teach that there is one creative power, only the one, just the one, in and through all things, common to all people. And we teach that this power is personal to all and available to all as an indwelling presence, closer than our very breath. And the primary way that we experience and express and know this power is through our consciousness. So it turns out then that there are as many ways to know, shall we call it the divine, as there are us. So this month we're exploring those different ways. This month we're exploring the many ways that different spiritual traditions observe that something. There's a convergence of celebrations around this time of the year, so it's nice to pause and look at them. Sometimes people ask me the question, why do we observe other spiritual traditions? Why don't we just stick with science of mind? The answer is to neutralize the idea that different is dangerous. Yay. Sometimes people say to me, why do you have symbols of other religions all over the center? Every nook and cranny, there's a something. The answer: to remind us that there are many paths, but one destination. Or as Ralph Waldo Emerson said it so beautifully, to the poet, to the philosopher, to the saint, all things are friendly and sacred, all events profitable, all holy days holy, and all people divine. You know, a local school contacted us. They called and asked if they could bring their children here for a tour of the center and all of our stations of the different religions, our exhibits, as part of the children's cultural studies. It's wonderful. We did it for several years in a row. Reverend Joyce would sometimes lead it, and sometimes I would. And their children were just entranced by the different ways of the spiritual path. You may notice above our stage there is a symbol. That's a composite symbol of various different things. At the center of it is our own science of mind teaching symbol. So I'm going to pull it out of that so we can have a look at it. That's what it looks like. It was designed by our founder, Ernest Holmes, to illustrate how the creative one moves through us, to what the creative process is in us in particular, how creation works. So the circle is a representation. I was going to say it's already limited by the fact that it's a circle, but you understand that it represents the infinite spirit, or the one that we were talking about in the prayer. And if we use the imagery of a garden, the three sections can represent three modes of the infinite one, the top representing a seed, as in our thought, belief, ideas, opinions, choices. The middle represents the soil, which is the place where the seed must go for that mysterious something to happen that causes it to germinate. And the bottom represents the plant, or the result of that which is planted in soil. That's how we teach it. And the V represents the creative process itself, reminding us that a seed must be planted if we wish to have a plant. Now, if you want to know more about our teaching, the science of mind, you've got two excellent options coming up. There's a free quick start class. It's 3 weeks. It's called The Art of Spiritual Living, and it's on January 5, 12, and 19 at 1 p.m. And I'll be teaching it. There'll be videos. There'll be handouts. And it's the sort of thing to give you enough jargon, terminology, to understand how we think about the spiritual life. And if you want to go even deeper than that, then later that month, Megan Rooney is teaching a class called The Basic Principles of Science of Mind. It's 12 weeks long, and it starts on January the 28th. So you need that time to unpack all of these things in a mindful, measured way. Now, this is not the same class you took 25 years ago when it was the foundational course. It's not even the same class you took 10 years ago when it was called Beyond Limits. This is all new content. Because we've got to keep the same information fresh, and so that's very wonderful. In this class, you're going to learn about those three phases. The surface mind, where we have our choice and our opinions and our thoughts and our ideas. And then our deeper mind that receives all of those seeds planted in it and goes to work on it, resulting in the garden of our lives. You're going to learn how to have a more skillful, friendly relationship with your inner voices. Now, both the free 3-week class as well as the longer class are available for registration online starting today. I thought I'd tell you about that because it's a good way, excuse me, to start off the new year. Back to the symbol here, you'll notice that around our teaching symbol are icons of other faiths. This was created by William Abel, who does all of our stage decoration for us. So I'm going to bring that one out just so we can have a look at it. At the top, you'll see there is a circle, which William says represents all spiritual paths. Then going down the right, we have Islam, Native American wisdom traditions, the Tao, and Sikh, and then Celtic religions to represent the earth-based pagan category of faith traditions. Going down the other way, the Christian tradition, Hindu tradition, Buddhists. This is an Inca symbol to represent ancient, now lost faith traditions, Jewish, and then at the bottom, the black symbol to represent all paths yet to be discovered. Isn't that wonderful? Really captures it. Now today we have on stage a statue of Buddha because we're learning about a Japanese Buddhist celebration called Rohatsu. And this is also thanks to William Abel, who loaned us the Buddha, and he says the 4 candles represent the 4 noble truths of Buddhism. Now, Rohatsu in Japanese means the 8th day of the 12th lunar month. Now, when something is connected to a lunar calendar, it means it moves all over, When Japan adopted the Gregorian calendar, many of the celebrations became fixed on a certain day. And so now this Rohatsu is fixed on December 8. It starts on December 1 and ends on December 8. And sometimes it's called Bodhi Day. Bodhi means awakened. So Rohatsu is the celebration of the moment Buddha achieved enlightenment or became awake. Now, what does it mean to us in our tradition of science of mind to become awake? Well, thinking about those different layers of mind, we have the surface mind where we are thinking, choosing, having opinions, reactions. Think of those as the seeds being planted into our deeper mind that receives all of this and goes to work. Here's where we run into trouble. When we are not aware of what kind or what quality of seeds we are consistently feeding into the soil. And when we are not aware that that is how the creative process is being invoked in us, we can have the feeling that life is chaotic, out of control, almost like we're in a dream. Have you ever had one of those dreams where you couldn't control the outcome? Nobody? I have. I thought maybe it's just me. Like for example, like you're in a car and the car's going to a bad direction, but you can't do anything about it because it's going there. I can't stop the car in the dream. And then when I wake up, I realize, well, in the awake state, yes, I can stop the car. I don't have to go where it's going in the dream. I can go slower or faster. I can change direction and destination. But when I was asleep, I thought I couldn't. And it was very real to me. And I accepted the limitation of the dream, in the dream. Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the 4 Agreements, said, we are all dreaming a dream collectively, together. And we call that society. Yeah. or we call it the group mind, or we call it the consciousness of the human race. And the idea is not only are we to wake up to the fact that we are capable of group dreaming, but even better, we are to wake up from that dream so that we don't accept the limitations of society's dreams. And even better, we are to consciously, mindfully, lovingly be about the business of dreaming a new dream. We are to plant new seeds using our imagination and our visions and our hopes and our aspiration and our love to harvest a new awakening for ourselves, for our loved ones, for humanity, for all sentient beings. This is an idea that appears in many of the faith traditions we see up over here. It goes something like this: don't be fooled by the way things appear to be. It may be a dream. Don't be tricked by the loudest, most persistent voice. You may not have to go the way of the crowd. There is a mind in you that can think, that can determine, that can sense, that can know and understand. And when we begin to use that mind more deliberately and more mindfully, more consciously, for good, we may have the experience of a kind of awakening. I can stop the car. Our founder would say often, Dr. Ernest Holmes would say often, there is a powerful good in the universe, greater than you are, and you can use it. And then when we begin to use it, we begin to live our life a little more awake to the power that is inside of us. And we can begin to expect the seeds that we plant to yield a new crop. But most importantly, as we begin to wake up to what is alive in us, we stop bending to the dream of the group. The waking up of Buddha is among the most important events in Buddhism. And for those who may not yet know, the historic Buddha began his life as a prince named Siddhartha Gautama. And he was shielded from life by his father, the king, who did not want him to experience anything other than courtly life so as to assure his ascension to the throne. But you know the way of things. He got outside of the palace and he, for the first time in his life, encountered sickness and death and aging and poverty, and he was very disturbed by it. He wanted to understand it, and so he gave up his privileged life to become an unsheltered beggar, studying spirituality to try and find understanding, and it only made him more and more frustrated. So he got to a point where he decided, I'm just sitting down under this tree, a fig tree, the Bodhi tree, Ficus religioso. I'm sitting down under this tree until I get it. And there he sat in deep contemplation. And it was during this time of meditation that he realized the truth of being and became Buddha, which means the one who is awake. Now, some who celebrate Rohatsu, which again starts today, the 1st of January, and concludes on the 8th, they do so with a meditation practice. And each night of the celebration, they extend the meditation practice so it gets a little longer, each day a little longer, until it culminates in a night-long meditation on the 8th. Now, it makes sense that the celebration of this day of awakening would be a quiet affair, without parades, without bands and fanfare. Quiet. It's an observance that focuses on meditation, on sitting and strengthening that practice for the purpose of awakening. You and I can practice that sitting right here at the center. There are many opportunities for group practice, and it is so delightful to practice in a group. We have Sunday mornings, 9:35 a.m. in the chapel upstairs. So just before you come to the second service, you can go and meditate. Or Wednesday evenings at 6:15 p.m. in the North Wing, you can do group meditation there. It's facilitated. Saturday mornings at 10 a.m., another group meditation practice. All of it free. And of course, on the last day of the year, there's a World Peace meditation. And on December 31st, that will take place at 4 a.m. Meditation is very important to us, very sacred. It's part of our practice because it is one of the ways we can empty out ourselves to make room to acknowledge the presence of the living Spirit within. So when we give ourselves the gift of 5 minutes and then the next day 10 minutes and the next day 15 minutes of quiet meditation, we find a peace in there that the world cannot give us. And then when we get up from our meditation, it is my opinion that each time we are a little bit more awake. At least we are a better human, a better friend, a better citizen. In our statement of belief in Science of Mind, our principles say it like this: we believe that God, call it the living Spirit if you like, is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. And we say, we believe in the direct revelation of truth through the intuitive and spiritual nature of humanity, and that any person may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling, whatever you want to call it. In other words, this to me says that anyone, everyone, you, me, can wake up a little more every day because of what is already inside of us, a presence that knows and knows that it knows and is wide awake and free from opinions. As long as we make a lifelong habit of staying in close personal contact, because you can't go to sleep on the job, or you slip right back into the dream of society. In other words, in Science of Mind, our path is to raise our consciousness, expand it through meditation, service, study, giving, prayer. Every day a little more and a little more until we reach a more solid conviction that everything is one. That consciousness is the cause behind all things. And that love is the only power. Every year, as December 1 approaches, many Buddhists start to anticipate the celebration with, I would say, excitement. And they see it as an opportunity to not only honor the event of awakening, but to awaken a little more themselves. Some join meditation retreats. It happens in Zen dojos everywhere, and they intensify or hone in their practices. Buddha, after sitting in deep contemplation, woke up. What did he wake up to? Well, in our tradition, we would say, he woke up to the nature of reality, or the absolute, which is beyond time and beyond space, beyond beginnings, beyond endings, that which is the only thing that is going on. And on the morning of his waking up, apparently he looked at the morning star and said something like, I am awakened together with the whole of the great earth and all of its beings. In other words, he became aware that the star and the earth and all sentient beings were kindred spirit, manifestation of the one something, the absolute, a shared reality, connected, joined, the same. We are on a similar path in Science of Mind to daily wake up to that something, the absolute, the mind of creation, to wake up to it as the foundation of my life. No, the foundation of all life as the only thing that is going on. Every one of our prayers begins and ends with a recognition of that something that defies definition. All of our classes teach practices to help us stay aware of that something. And we teach that every time we awaken a little more to that something, it allows us to drop the habits of mind that cause us suffering. The habits of mind that cause us to feel separate and apart from the rest of the thing itself. And each time we awaken a little bit more to that something which is the foundation of all that is, it allows us to see creation as part of a sacred unity. One, and that changes the way we engage in the world and how we show up. Let's look a little closer at the moment of Buddha's awakening. It is said that when he saw, after sitting in meditation, and he opened his eyes and he saw the morning star, it caused him to weep. It filled him with awe at the unity of all things. Now, it couldn't have been the first time he saw the morning star, but on that morning, he saw it differently. We could say he saw it as it truly is, through the lens of the absolute, through the filter of oneness, through the reality of interconnectedness. And we might ask, how can I do that? Well, it turns out we have the opportunity to do it every moment of every day. In meditation, out of meditation. In prayer and when we are not praying. We can start the journey of seeing things a little more as they truly are by, well, one way is to start paying attention to the conversations in our own heads, especially those places where we have stressful opinions. And then we can begin the adventure of gently dropping those opinions. Now, I say the adventure because some of them do not wish to be dropped. Some of them are sticky. Some of them we are very loyal to. Some we identify with more than we identify with the absolute. You know, he is this, she is that. This means this means that. I need that. She should do this. He should do that. Why isn't this? How come, you know? Stop the commentary a little bit and begin instead to just look. As if looking at the morning star for the first time as an awake being. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, every day and every hour we are meeting the truth. I think what we should say is every minute, every hour we have the opportunity to meet the truth, but too frequently it is disguised, hidden behind all of our opinions. So our work maybe is to form new opinions or a new view about, a new attitude about life, one that is in sync with the nature of reality. One that is founded in the absolute, in an uncompromising unity of all life that refuses to entertain enemy images. So this week I invite you to practice. When something is happening, whether it's good or bad, when you're in a conversation, whether it's a good conversation or bad conversation, whether you're making a decision, whether it's difficult or hard to make, you ask yourself, how would Buddha see this in the moment of his awakening? Or if you prefer to make it more relatable to your science of mind tradition, you can ask yourself, how does the divine mind in me understand this? How does the consciousness of absolute oneness know this? Now, next week, we'll be exploring the cultural spiritual tradition called Kwanzaa. After that, the solstice, then Christmas, and then Hanukkah. So by the time we're done, we will have made quite a journey around the science of mind symbol. But for now, I'm going to invite you to practice sowing some new seeds with me. And when we do the practice, notice if your mind starts to argue or make comments. And do nothing about it. And see if at the same time you can notice that inside of you that is watching, opinion free, filled with grace and beauty, holy. So as I say these words, I invite you to imagine that they are being said by your own voice in the silence of your own mind. I invite you to breathe in with me, and to exhale to let your eyes close. I am a unique expression of the living Spirit. That Spirit within me is the source of my creativity, my enthusiasm, my caring, and my compassion. I recognize the sacred in me and in others and in life and in everywhere. Indeed, I am awakening to the realization that sacred is all there is. That Spirit within me is the source of my sincerity, my honesty, my authenticity. From it I love easily, through it I give generously, and by it I act wisely. I am waking up to the realization that that Spirit is within me always, like a constant companion, but more than that. In it I live and move and have my being. I am saturated in, steeped in the consciousness of the Absolute. Therefore, I step into life with a confident attitude, guided into kindness and compassion. Let the next breath you take be deeper than the one before. As you exhale, we bring this moment of practice to a conclusion, letting our eyes open and returning to the activity of the room.